Welcome to Week and Geek, your new comics preview for September 25th. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm the Chris Brown.
What do you got?
This week I'm going to start off here. We've got some more Battle of the Atom. We got Chapter 5. This is Wolverine and the X-Men. I've really enjoyed this story so far. I think it's been really awesome. The last issue was sort of okay. You know, it's kind of, while the first three was like, oh my God, they're going to really do something crazy here. That last one kind of felt like, okay, they're slowing it down. They're telling a story. They're not coming back at us as fast as they were. But it was still really good. I like the idea that the X-Men are, that some of the X-Men are in there and like, well, we've always been about choice. How come we're not letting them choose? Knowing they're going to go back and get their minds wiped anyway, what did we bring them here for? Nothing's going to happen. They can't fix anything. You know, and again, if we did send them back and fix something, it hasn't happened anyway. So what do we do? And that was kind of a neat approach to it, and I liked that. So this has been really cool. I'm now, interested in what the approach is going to be here in the Wolverine and with Wolverine and the students.
It's been one of the interesting things about this crossover is even though it's all fitting together and telling a big story, each individual issue is still kind of being true to its own series.
Absolutely.
So the last issue was very much Uncanny X-Men. The focus was on the Magneto team. This one, the focus, I'm guessing, will be on the students. So yeah, I really like the way they've been doing this.
Yeah, I do as well. Good story. If you haven't been checking that out, check it out. We're only on part 5. Then I've got Guardians of the Galaxy. We've got Angela on the cover here. We've got, looks like a little bit of stuff going on with the Watcher. I am behind on this, but this is one that I have every intention of catching up on. And I might have to just maybe jump in with the Angela stuff.
You're probably only one issue, I think, because it's been a while.
It has been. I think I haven't read the issue 5. I think I'm caught up on the first 4, but I haven't read the 5 and obviously the 6 yet. But this has been really cool stuff. I'm kind of curious. I'm really interested to see how the story of Angela shakes out. Because the whole thing of Age of Ultron was we're going to bring Angela in, and then she was just in at the end, and it was like, oh, hey, here I am. Why am I here? I don't know. Read Guardians of the Galaxy. It's going to be really late. Oh, hey, thanks, guys. Good work. Next, I've got Nova, number 8. This ties into Infinity. This has been a great series, and this has Thanos on the cover. So this is our young Nova, and it looks like he's going to have something going on with Thanos as we get in here. More Watcher. Watcher's the star of the show this week. Incredibly. He's in all kinds of books here. Even that Guardians of the Galaxy, which doesn't have anything to do with Infinity. But as Spider-Man taught us in Secret Invasion, you really don't have to worry about anything until, the Watcher shows up. Oh, come on! So, obviously, they're going to make it, play it up as though this is going to be a universe-altering thing if the Watcher shows up, and they're going to have to band together to
That is always a great
fix
moment.
It really is. It's like, oh, man, here it comes. Now what? Now what, Watcher? What do we got to do? Then I've got The Mysterious Strangers. This is issue number 4 from Oni Press. This was the first issue was given away for Free Comic Book Day, and then when they released the number 1, they actually released the 1 and 2 at the same time. This has sort of a swanky, weird vibe. It almost has a little Mike Allred stuff going on, and it feels like maybe some of his the Atomics kind of stuff, but a little different. This is like a spy team, and they got some powers and really weird stuff, but I dig it, and the art is just so darn swanky.
A real nice retro look.
Yeah, I dig it. I like stuff like this. It's kind of fun, and it feels like comic books. I suppose the stuff that's becoming so much fine art now, which is great too, but a little different than
sometimes you want a little cartoony.
Yes.
Speaking of,
I've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 26. We've got Shredder and Leonardo on the cover here, jumping at some of our guys. Leonardo is a member of the Foot right now. He's been brainwashed. Some stuff's going on. The team's kind of doesn't know what to do. His brothers are pretty soured on this, and they're sort of forced to work with old Hob. This has been a really, really cool story. Ooh, we got a canister of ooze in there. This has been a great book. This feels like something different. I didn't like when Donatello became a bat or a cyborg or whatever the heck they did in the old Image run briefly, and that seems to have been swept under the carpet and gone away. But this new reboot has just been really, really cool, and this story has been top-notch. Next, I've got a book called The Other Dead. This is also by IDW. This is Kevin Eastman is a creative consultant on this. It looks like it might be some kind of a weird zombie sort of deal, but maybe it almost looks like what was the Living Dead movie that had the punk rockers in it.
Return of the Living Dead.
Yes, it almost looks like that a little bit. It is not Eastman art on the inside, but he did do the cover, the subscription cover. Looks really cool. Some cool stuff on the back there as well. I don't know. I'm willing to give it a try. It's Eastman doing something different.
Cool.
Even though he didn't really write it, he's just a creative consultant. I don't exactly know what that entails, but should be cool. Then I've got Todd, the Ugliest Kid on Earth, issue number 5. This was a 4-issue miniseries that they have brought back. This is kind of weird. They've got a cult of people here with a PBS logo that has devil horns on it. Very weird. The artwork in this book is fantastic. In the last one, this little kid was suspected of being a serial killer and at one point goes to prison. He's got a bag on his head because he's so ugly. It's really weird and bizarre and twisted. And I know everybody that's watching right now, bizarre and twisted. Check that out. Definitely check that out. The first part is in trade so far. Those first 4 issues, and then the 5 came out today. So really cool stuff. Then I've got this is issue number 7 of Sex. This has been kind of a cool, weird book, and always that moment where I'm like, oh god, my mom finds out I'm reading this, I'm in trouble. It's kind of former superheroes. A lot of that going on. Former superheroes and kind of their sex life and what's going on there. And I don't know, it's like the first time that I've ever really read a dirty book. I don't know, almost 37. I'm going to read a dirty book.
You might have another one there.
And I got another one.
A lot of sexy time this week.
Indeed, they've got, this one is called Sex Criminals by Matt Fraction. Good Lord!
Right off the bat.
I mean, they're not fooling around. This art looks a little more cartoony, but this one also looks pretty dirty.
I guess if you've got the word sex in your title, you know what to expect.
I think this is it's going to sell well because it has sex on the title. For mature readers, don't sell this to a kid. What are you, nuts? Seriously. Well, yeah, this and the sex, we always have to bag and board and put on the shelf. Now, the funny thing is when you bag it, people want more. More. Wait, what is this thing? Well, it's dirty. I don't want kids to see it. It's dirty? Well, give me one of those. You got back issues? Then I'm looking at Saga number 14. I did catch up to the last issue. There's some question about why are you putting faith in a science fiction writer? Well, maybe that's not exactly it. There might be more to this. Really kind of just a great story still, kind of a fairy tale. There are now journalists involved here that are kind of trying to get the story, and they're trying to find Alana, the mom. It's a Romeo and Juliet kind of tale. 2 cross lovers, but unfortunately they've got the rest of the galaxy on their tail because a war has broken out between 2 cultures that everyone else is making money off of. There's the war industrial complex, I guess, and just two different races have fallen in love, had a baby, and they're just trying to survive this thing. But the story is being told by their daughter. Yeah. So she makes it. At least at the point of this storytelling, and we don't know how old she is when that happens.
Very true.
But great stuff. Beautiful artwork by Fiona Staples. She also did, I believe, a variant cover on what is going to be my top pick of the week, and we'll get to that when we get to that. But that's the bulk of my stack. What are you looking at?
Well, I'm going to start off with my villain month.
You're loving the 3Ds.
I like the 3Ds. I'm certainly digging these one-shot stories. Starting off with Action Comics number 23.4. This is Metallo. Metallo was introduced in Grant Morrison's initial run on the book with the new 52 take on Metallo, and looks like we're going to be getting that story fleshed out a little bit. I got some nice artwork here. Steve Pugh, who was
he does do nice stuff,
and Shawley Fish, who actually wrote the backup features in Action Comics that featured him. So this is some good stuff. Metallo's not my favorite of the Superman villains. He's certainly been revised and reworked a lot over the years, but I really do like the Superman villains in general, so I'm giving that a shot. And along those lines, we've got Parasite number 1, which is Superman 23.4.
Is that covered by Andy Kuhn?
I think this is Chris. Oh, wait, maybe it is.
Because of the signature on there, but it doesn't look like his traditional stuff, but I do love Andy Kuhn's stuff.
Yeah, I don't know who did this. Or is that does it say? Cover Aaron Cooter.
Oh, Aaron Cooter. Okay,
that's right.
I was like, it doesn't really look like him, but just the
it looks like Aaron did the artwork here, too.
Cool.
And wrote it. Wow.
Good job, kept him busy.
Aaron Cooter did some great stuff on New Guardians.
All right.
Really a very kind of along the lines of Chris Burnham and someone else who was in here that I can't remember his name right now. Frank Whiteley. Oh, I just gave away my top.
How you forget that guy?
Again, Parasite, one of the creepier Superman villains. I don't know if he's appeared in the New 52 yet.
Oh, that might be his first appearance.
This might be his first appearance. It's definitely one of the more unusual and extreme looks for the character. This one I've actually been looking forward to. This is Batman Superman 3.1. This is Doomsday #1. Very curious to see how they're going to work Doomsday into the new 52 continuity. I think
Because he never killed Superman now.
Well, they Superman was killed.
Oh, did they? Okay.
At one point, they haven't given the details of it.
Interesting.
At least that's what they sort of hint at in Grant Morrison's Action Comics. That at some point in the past 5 years, he died and came back. Yeah, now this is going to give you a little bit more of how this all fits in. Obviously, he didn't die in the same manner.
Sure.
The Justice League is a very different team that was at the time. So at some point, he may or may not have died. It was not explicitly stated. Plus, it was Action Comics and it was Grant Morrison. So some of that stuff may not kind of last outside of Grant Morrison stuff. But I've actually liked Doomsday as a character. I mean, it started off as just this weird force of nature. Then they made him Kryptonian, and then they sort of expanded it a lot.
It certainly felt like a gimmick, which, as we've learned lately, means ingenious new angle.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's definitely a gimmick that's worked.
Yeah. So again, that's really for me. A lot of these Villain Month things, much like the Zero issues a year ago, are filling in some of the gaps of the history of the New 52. A lot of people complained when the New 52 launched that we didn't have all of this, and I thought it was pretty obvious that we were going to get this.
Yes.
Batman and Superman in general is filling in gaps. So yeah, don't have it all handed to you at once. This is the new DC universe is unfolding. The stories are changing, and there's going to be contradictions. Obviously, that's what's always happened. But I look forward to these little moments where we get to see stuff that happened in the past.
That one's got to be.
I'm assuming that's going to happen here. This is Sinestro, #1. This is Green Lantern, number 23.4. Yeah, definitely looking forward to this one. Clearly, he's the big gun of the Green Lantern villains. We've got some great art by Dale Eaglesham, who really I've not seen in a while.
Since like Fantastic Four, I think.
Yeah, he did something after Fantastic Four. He did a Captain America thing.
Okay. And
he's popped up here and there in small things. And again, here's just a one shot. But we've got Sinestro from his time as the Green Lantern. Where does it go? And it does actually kind of reach into his time as head of the Sinestro Corps.
Okay.
Where he winds up, we know at the end of Green Lantern, he kind of goes off and sort of leaves the book, supposedly. Jeff Johns says goodbye to the character. But we know he's popped up in promotional stuff for Forever Evil, and he's getting his own series, so maybe this is bridging the gap between where they left him and where they're going to pick him up. Next up, this is The Wake, #4. This is Scott Snyder and Sean Murphy. I have not read a single issue of this yet.
Okay.
But that just shows you how much faith I have in these two creators, that I was just like, this is going to, like, when I finished Punk Rock Jesus, I was just kind of like, I wish I would have read this all at once, because there were some delays.
Sure.
And stuff. So I'm committing to 10 issues of a $3.99 book, sight unseen, because these guys are both so good. And I flip through every issue and look at the artwork.
The art's beautiful.
And if the story is only half as good as the art, this is going to be a great book. So that just shows you the kind of faith that I have in this particular storyline. Next up, on a similar vein, we've got Unwritten, number 53. This is part 4 of 5 of the Fables crossover. Again, with this book, I usually do wait until the story's done, read it all at once. Flows much better that way. This is, in particular, it's a very, very densely written book. So when you read it all at once, it all kind of flows together a lot better than reading it month to month and having to remember kind of some of this complicated stuff. And we've got a very strange Candyland looking cover here.
Looks cool though, I like it.
But really colorful, really a lot of fun. I'm glad that even though this is a crossover with Fables, it's not actually a crossover. It's just the Fables characters showing up here, which I think is a pretty cool idea.
And works for that book.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a connection between the type of stories that they're telling. And it's almost like, wow, I'm surprised it took them 50 issues to figure that out. Next up, we've got Avengers. This is issue 20. This is the Infinity tie-in. This ties in with issue 3 because the color's yellow. Yeah, that's the
theme.
The theme. All of the Infinity issue 3 tie-ins have a yellow cover. This has been a great miniseries. I've really, it's escalating now. The stakes are getting higher. We know basically you've got the storyline with the builders who were basically destroying everything in sight. They're heading for Earth. And in the meantime, while the Avengers are off, Thanos is looking for his son. But this is continuing the stories of the Avengers in space. I really like these builder characters that Hickman has introduced.
Yes.
I'm curious to see. Oh wow.
Oh, well, that looks crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, some great stuff. All of it picking up from what he's done in the Avengers previously, all the way back to his very first story arc when you get the introduction of some of these guys.
Right. That's where it all started with
whatever his name is.
Yeah,
Ex Nihilo. Yeah, there's those weird funky yellow guys with an Omega on their chest. But great stuff. I've really been enjoying the storyline. I've really been enjoying this book in general. Next up, we've got FF number 12. This is Matt Fraction and Mike Allred doing their wacky Fantastic Four stuff. They got trapped in kind of the microverse or something like that. Everyone was shrunk. We've got a storyline going on with Doctor Doom. This is a strange book, a wacky book. I guess at some point it's going to collide head on with FF. But some fantastic retro art.
That looks great.
We were talking about the Impossible Man showed up in the last issue, and now the Impossible Man is some sort of a kid is a part of, or one of the Impossible Man's kids.
Okay.
Yeah, the Impossible Man's got a strange thing going on. Has now joined the team, and I guess now is learning about manga and anime. That can't end well. Strange stuff, but this is still a fun book. I'm not sure what's going on from issue to issue. This is Matt Fraction being weird, but he's very good at that, and I enjoy it. Next up, East of West. This is Jonathan Hickman again in his sci-fi western. We've kind of met the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Death is not with them. He's off on his own. He is apparently found himself a lady friend and had himself a little baby, and that's kind of at the heart of this. Still don't quite know what's going on yet.
His stories are weird like that.
Well, there's basically a group of people who are trying to trigger the apocalypse, a group of people trying to prevent the apocalypse, and then Death and his lady and their baby, and all of it set in this weird future Western situation. Very weird sci-fi stuff, but really it's a lot of fun. Even if you don't know you don't really know what's going on, but not because the story's bad or being told poorly. It's because he's giving you little morsels as you go. And every issue, you're like, oh, but you still don't know what the whole picture is. But great stuff. This is a really complex book from Hickman in Image Comics with great art by Nick Dragotta.
Kind of like the Max back in the day.
Yeah.
I loved every issue. It's like, man, that was a fun ride. What happened? I don't know.
Yeah. Or like the Invisibles. That's what the Invisibles was like that for me. It really wasn't until the very last issue the very last issue, the second time you've read through the entire story, you go, oh, now I get it. So at some point in the future, I guess I will understand this story.
Well, I guess that brings me to my top pick here. This is an Image book. This is from Shadowline. This is Rat Queens by Curtis Weeb and Rock Upchurch. The artwork looks fantastic. It looks like kind of a fantasy thing, which usually wouldn't be my thing, but I really like what Curtis Weeb does. First thing I ever picked up by him was Green Wake, which I thought was fantastic. Then he did Debris, which was sort of that weird future sci-fi thing with Riley Rossmo. Then he's doing Peter Panzerfaust. I mean, his talents have really gone through different genres. Yeah. And he just tells all kinds of different stories, and he's very good at it. And that being the case, I'm really looking forward to this. And this art is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And this looks like some really, really nice stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a new ongoing series by Curtis Weeb. And I think that's going to be a fun one.
Very cool.
Worth checking out.
Well, my top pick is Jupiter's Legacy. This is Mark Miller and Frank Whiteley. I've really enjoyed this book. It's not as kind of twisted and misogynistic and misanthropic as some of Mark Miller's stuff. Maybe he's mellowing as he's getting older. But it's a superhero story. Basically, a bunch of people get superpowers at some point in the past, and this is the story of these characters as they're older and their children. I mean, that's the legacy aspect. The book's original title was Jupiter's Children, but it was changed for some various legal reasons. There's a Superman type character who is kind of in charge of everybody, and everybody looks up to him. He's got a son that is kind of not living up to his father's expectation or legacy. Some of the other heroes are not too happy with the kind of somewhat tightly wound Superman type character, and they have asked his son to help them sort of usurp his position as leader of the superheroes. So you get these kind of generational things: father and sons, brothers who are not. I mean, it's really kind of Shakespearean, but with superheroes. And there's one of the female superheroes is pregnant, and the father is of course one of the more villainous younger characters. Really interesting stuff. All of it with absolutely gorgeous art by Frank Whiteley. This is great stuff. It's bright, it's colorful. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of the more detailed work he was doing back on things like Flex Mentallo.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean it's got some dark and grim stuff, but it's one of those sort of very postmodern superhero books that we kind of got a lot of in the 90s and early 2000s, and I guess this is Mark Miller's take on it. But overall, it's been really good stuff.
Right on. Well, I guess you should be sure to check all those out, because that is your Week in Geek.